So I was talking to a girl who I know, who I've been kind of hanging out with for a few months on and off. And I kind of stopped hanging out with her for like 2 months. And then I started hanging out with her again. I tend to do that in relationships with people. Like I would disappear and want to be introvert and just want to be by myself and then come back later. I don't know why I do that. I've been like that my whole life and everything. And a lot of times I just resume my relationship with the person. And some people may think that's odd and strange for people to have relationships with other people like that. But if you knew how I grew up and the stuff I went through as a child, as a teenager, and as an adult, young adult, you will understand. you know. So I tend to do that. I weave in and out of relationships with people, leave and come back. And so I'm hanging out with this girl for a few months, and then stopped hanging out with her, started hanging out with her again, and she had told me that she was talking to some people that she knows that I know, and she said that people were asking her questions about why I changed so much. And I thought that was odd for a couple of reasons. One reason is I think it's very strange that people talk about other people and the person that they're talking about is actually not there to defend themselves or speak up and stuff. And I think if people are curious or inquisitive about a person's personality trait or their life, I think a good rule of thumb is to go up to that person personally and ask them questions. And maybe the person will give them a legitimate or substantial reason why they are the way they are, instead of bringing it up in a discussion why the person is not there, because it's a good chance that person may find out in the future that people are talking about him or her, and it just wouldn't be a good thing for anybody, I think, and everything. And I just think it's strange that people would say that I'm always constantly changing for a couple of reasons. One reason is that it's actually no one's business if I change, Like, I'm an individual, I could do what I want with my interests and my hobbies. I don't think anyone's ever be interested in someone changing, because it's no one's business at the end of the day, But because people think that, and maybe they have good intentions, and maybe people know me for a long time, and they just really get inquisitive to why I am the way I am. So I thought I'll make a video blog and I would try to explain why I changed so much, For truth be told, I actually don't change. I change like my aesthetic. I change my style. I change my music preference, which are all surface stuff, but I never really change the type of person I am inwardly, like my inner personality trait. That never actually changes, As far as religion goes, I am a monotheistic person, meaning I believe in a one God. I don't believe in many gods and facets of gods or aspects of, or whatever you want to call it. I believe in one God. And if I'm a Hare Krishna, one week, and then a month later I'm a Buddhist, and then a month later I'm a Christian, my inner belief in a one omnipresence God never really leaves. It's always the same. It just, but wears different disguises, and to me it's fun because I get bored really easily, So if I'm a Christian, I get bored of being a Christian. Who wants to be a Christian for the rest of their lives? It's so much more exciting to be a Buddhist. Then I get bored of being a Buddhist, and then I want to be a Hare Krishna, But my inner belief that sustains me, my core belief of what I believe in my heart and my spirituality never changes. It always remains the same, And I'm actually Catholic. I grew up Catholic, and I wear the rosaries constantly. And it's not a goth thing; it's actually a Catholic thing. And I kind of love being Catholic. I don't like the Catholic Church, but I like being Catholic. I like the precepts of Catholicism because I grew up that way, and it's something that I'm never not gonna be. And so I'm always first and foremost a Catholic, then second a Buddhist, then third a Christian, So that's how it goes. But sometimes people get really inquisitive about that. They're like, well, one day you believe in this, and one day you're like, but I don't really. I think that I'm more substantially stable in me being one thing than most people. I think most people change, but the only difference is outwardly you don't notice it because it's not reflected in their aesthetic. It's not reflected in their behavioral patterns in society. For society could view it and judge it and make opinions about it and stuff. But me, because I'm such an outward person, everything that I do reflects in my aesthetic and it reflects in my expression of that. So people is more noticeable to someone like me than someone who is changing, but people are not noticing it because it's not being reflective in their outward appearance. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's why people notice me changing more, and also because I'm a very open person, and so when I change, I just it just pops out of me, and it's like it can't be contained, and it's noticeable, and people think it's odd, and people think they're associated with instability, people associated with not being stable and not being substantially connected to a one format, and some people even take it further and think that it comes from a trader perspective or a trader sensibility, meaning that you're a trader. 1 month or 2 months you're really gothic, and then the next month you're a hippie and you're a trader because you left the goth scene and you went to the hippie scene. And I'm like, no, like I don't see it that way. I don't do it that way because if you look at any of my video blogs when I dress like a hippie, I still wearing black lipstick. I'm still wearing fingernail polish. I'm still listening to The Cure. I still wearing eyeliner. I'm still spooky. That never leaves because that's not an aesthetic. That's just my personality trait. My personality trait, my inner personality, my essence is a goth, and that's never going to change. I've been that since the 80s, so long, more than most people who talking about me been alive, and that's never gonna change. But do I love being a hippie once in a while? Yes, I do love it. Do I love dressing reggae? And see, another thing is that I'm really into music, and I'm really into dancing. And I don't just dance at golf clubs. I dance at reggae shows. I dance at bluegrass. I dance at all jazz and swing, all types of different music. Dance to, and when I dance, I go all out. I really get into it, like it just becomes a part of my social consciousness, and it just consumes me. And so I change the way I just to party that night, and go to a certain venue or whatever music venue. And in the summertime I tend to like be more hippie because I do a lot of hippie stuff. I hang out with a lot of hippie girls. I go a lot of bluegrass, and I love hanging out with hippie people. And I don't like all of them, but a lot of them I do like. And I just like to be in the spirit of things. That's why my name is Spirit. And I like to go 110% out of my way to do it. To me, it's boring just to be one thing, and just to like one thing and just be consumed by one thing. But I don't judge people who are like that. I know there's a lot of autistic people who are like that, who hyper focus and have tunnel vision on one narrow subject, and they just never deviate from that. And I get that, and I do that as well. But my narrow hyper focus, subject is fashion and style and music, so that's what it is for me. So like most autistic people, I am hyper focusing on music, and I'm just being consumed. And then this girl had told me this a while back. She was talking about autistic people. She's like, autistic people from the surface, they seem like they don't have an identity because they constantly revolving and changing, because in a sense they don't feel like normal people because they're not accepted in the broader society, so they feel like rejected by society, so they're always trying to be accepted by society, so they adapt different types of persona. It's called masking, actually. That's a psychological term for it, and they're masking and becoming these different people in order to be accepted by society. Is something that autistic people struggle with on a daily, actually. And so and it's actually, at some level, it could be really painful because it's just a feeling of inadequacy. It's a feeling that you felt ever since you was a child. There's some children, most children that are normal, neurotypical children, they grow out of that. There's a point in their lives where they find a substantialness within themselves, a confidence within themselves, because the broader society accepts them and it invites them into the fold. But autistic people don't have that same sentiment. Autistic people are always, always in the end outcast. They're always the weird of the weird, and even weird people don't accept most autistic people, because autistic people are too weird. They're not fashionably weird. They're just weird, and and it's a hard thing. So we have to mask, we have to become different characters in order to feel just comfortable around people. Because if we don't, the anxiety will set in, and it will make us feel worse than not being accepted. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little facet of my personality traits why I change sometimes. Because a lot of times I'm just like, oh, I just want to go to a reggae show, but I don't want to talk to people, and I don't want to be, signal out as a certain person. So I'm going to get into this persona, and I'm just going to live it, and then people think, oh, you changed into a reggae guy. No, I'm just having fun, and I'm just consuming this music at this time. But I'm always going to go back to who I really am. Who I really am is kind of an introverted person, kind of a shy person, but also an extrovert too. Depends on the people I'm around. The thing is with introversion and extroversion, a lot of people don't really know how it works. People think you either one or the other, and that's not true. Extroversion and introversion is based on surroundings. It's based on the social fabric in which we find ourselves and stuff. So a person that's introvert will be more introverted if they feel that they can't be themselves around people. But if they feel like they could be around certain people, they would be more extrovert. Like when I'm around queer people or around like really weird artists, bohemian type people, I'm more extroverted. I'm open. I'm talking a lot. And I'm like all the place when I'm around kind of normal people, or people who I feel like don't understand where I'm coming from and don't understand the type of person I am, my personality and stuff. I tend to shy away from those people and become really introverted and just don't talk to them. And then people think that I'm an introvert person. I'm like, well, no, I'm introverted because you're making me feel introverted because I feel uncomfortable talking to you or being in cahoots with you because you're judging me, and that's something the autistic people and ADHD people struggle with on a daily and stuff. But as far as changing, I never change. I'm always the same person. I think in a lot of respects, sometimes I wish I can change the innerness of who I really am. Because sometimes I think that I won't be so tumultuous. And another thing is like I have like really tumultuous emotional issues, like most people, I have extreme emotional defective stuff going on, and it's painful a lot of times. It really is, and just because it's all tied into self-expression, just imagine you expressing yourself, and it's painful to express yourself because you feel that people are not going to accept you, or you feel people are going to misjudge you, and then all you want to do is you want people to just accept you. You want people to don't think you're weird, And the weird thing about it is we're all weird. Everyone's weird. Look at what's going on in politics right now. That's more weird than anything. But I mean, we're all weird and everything. With certain people or scapegoats, and they become emotional punching bags for society because they passive or they nice and they complacent, and people tend to like point their fingers at those people and don't think those people are deserving of solace, or thinking those people are deserving to be understood because they're so weird. To go, well, Spirit's really weird. He's not going to care if I judge him because he's just a weird person. He knows that he's weird. So I could call him weird and I could say all this, and all this stuff. And I go, dude, I go through the same emotional stuff. I feel rejected like you feel rejected. I feel like I just want people to like me like you want people to like you. I feel it's the same thing that everyone feel. I probably feel it more than you do, and everything. I remember when I was growing up, my whole family had this disdain for me because they all thought that I was apathetic. They thought that I didn't feel stuff. But the only problem is I didn't know how to express my emotions when I was a kid, and I didn't know how to like be open. So I was so closed. I was such a close child. And I had this reputation that I was cold-hearted, and I think that was when I became gothic actually, because I felt like I could wear all black and I could just not be seen, and be like far away from everyone and not be detective. If I have emotional issues, they won't see it because I'm wearing all black anyway. All they see is the black clothes, and so I think that's a reason. And also when I discovered Wiccan, when I was like 13, 14, I became a Wiccan and I started studying Wiccan, and I love that religion. It's so beautiful, and it taught me a lot about that, and everything about, hiding from the world and everything, and being in this place that's supposedly supposed to be dark, but really is a place of safety and it's a place of beauty, equilibrium and so on and so forth and everything. And I think that a lot of people who are gothic people could to test that, or relate to that, because that's what it means for them to be in the dark gothic subculture and everything. And so but I think it's odd that people would think that I change a lot, and maybe on the surface it seems like I do change because I do video blog, but I never really change. I never, to me, changing my perspective on changing as a person is this: they're really nice one day, and then a week later they super mean to everyone, and they just change to this mean person, and then they back to being nice. To me that's more serious, when you, but I'm not turning into a mean person. I'm not like being nice one day and being mean the next day. I'm just like being introverted and then being extroverted and being introverted and then being really into fashion. Like fashion is nothing. Really, it really is nothing. Anyway, I just thought it was funny.